5杀，由LYN Gaming 的 ADC Wild Lutos 拿到。
I guess it's pretty impressive to get the first penna. It was against Gambit though, they kind of seemed to have faltered a bit.
过来大招大的是金子，金子这边被定住，又一个2人起来，血鬼前面表真的将那个闪现被落的起舞场中给跑下来了，那完了，没了血鬼，这边的战场感觉要崩盘了。
Como el personaje es ella, le gana a los rivales más fuertes. Pienso que nosotros vamos a hacer lo mismo y le podemos ganar a Cloud9.
I hope LYN's ready for a safe fight home as they get eliminated from Worlds.
虽然我们在 FNC 不被看好，但是我们会用实力证明我们自己。这也不会是我们的全球总决赛的重点。
I really think that for the best of 5 will be the best version of ourselves. Even though HKA is a really strong team, I think we will end their Worlds dreams right here, right now.
Hello and welcome back to Worlds 2017 live from Wuhan, China. For the next 2 days, 8 teams will fight for the 4 remaining spots in the group stage. Of saw the stadium getting ready for fans in Wuhan, excited. Hello and welcome back to Worlds 2017 road of set the best second seed coming out of the group stage, and now playing those elimination matches. All right, I'm excited to see it as well. Well, hello everyone, I'm Daniel Dracos, and who better to join me for a clash of North American teams than Aiden, Zyrene, Moon, and Mark Z as well.
Yeah, bit of NA bias maybe on the desk a little bit, so hopefully we'll try and keep it a little fair.
Yeah, it's hard to be biased in favor of NA when you got ousted from it, so
Oh, let's go. Like, can we wait? Can we wait to see how Fnatic plays before I like set sail and like throw me under the bus here at least?
Yeah, you still got a little bit of hope, right?
A little bit remaining. All right, well, before we get into our first match, let's get a reminder of what teams, or what it's going to take for these teams to get to the group stage. First up, it's an all-American clash as North America's Cloud9 faces off against Latin American North's LYN Gaming, followed by EU's third seed Fnatic aiming to take down Hong Kong Attitude from the LMS. And when we return tomorrow, we've got 1907 Fenerbahce versus Team 1 and Team WE brawling it out against Young Generation. Well, as the battle for groups plays out, let's take a look at this week's Best of the Rift presented by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Now, these are the players that we think could make or break their team's dreams of promoting to the next stage of Worlds. And first up for Cloud9, it's going to be Contracts.
Contracts has been an absolute monster for them. He's #1 in team percent of damage for junglers at 26%, averages about 17%. But seriously, this is a big step up for him. He was already a high damage jungler, but now at Worlds, his rookie performance here, he's looking incredible.
Veteran leader for this team in so many ways.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many good players on this team, but Thaldrn stands out to me as the complete rock. Doesn't feel like he's had a single bad performance this entire time. While Padden may take a little bit to turn online, then he gets these penna kills. Frozen has been a little up or down in the early laning phase. Thaldrn is the guy every time playing well.
It's funny because like calling him a rock sometimes sounds like you're saying he doesn't have these high highs, but when I watch Thaldrn, it just looks like this guy always knows where to be. His Maokai ultimates on mid have allowed Frozen to get through the laning phase with an advantage, and then Padden gets those penna kills off of the ultimate, off of the play from Thaldrn, and I feel like this guy has been the facilitator for the team in team fights.
Absolutely. Just look at that mid play. It's so intelligent the way he wraps behind, sets his team up for a kill. Not like this, oh my god, how did he come up with this play? But it's these kind of consistent things that he gives his team to be able to get leads.
That's what I love about it, is consistent, because I've seen him make that play on Maokai and Galio like 4 times now in 4 games. So Thaldrn has been very methodical with when he gets his lead in lane. How does he spread that across the map as a tank?
Yeah, I'm just excited to see what he can do tomorrow. If he can keep that consistency up, what he's going to look like against Team 1. When we look at our next player, a similar playmaker, a similar consistent force for Fnatic, it's going to be Jesus coming in.
Absolutely. He was a large part of why they were able to dominate bot lane in 3 out of their 4 games. And then the one time they struggled, it really didn't feel like it was on him at all. He's also been a huge factor in their late game comebacks. So Jesus has really stepped up over the course of this tournament, being a large factor in their playmaking.
Yeah, Jesus was a player that, was a mid laner before, was at Worlds, was a coach for Immortals last year, and then he came in as a support with the lane swap or the role swap, and he's been looking fantastic with those engages and knowing when to take them.
Feels like a guy who has a lot more perspective on the game than some other people, just having played so many different roles, held so many different positions in teams, that he has this kind of like higher level thinking about the game that goes beyond just like, what do I do as my player or as my champion that I'm piloting?
And it's something that Fnatic have needed when they've had individual roles starting to fall through. Jesus being a rock has been very crucial for them. But finally, from young generation, our last player on the list is going to be Pallet. A similar story for supports, consistency being the key here.
Absolutely. I think when you look at young generation, they had that rough day one. They completely bounced back in game two. Pallet was someone who was able to step up in both of those games and was able to really give them that kind of need to avoid having to play any tiebreakers.
Yeah, and as we look forward, he's going to be playing against Team WE, who really heavily rely on Mystic during the mid parts of the game after getting him through the lane phase. And he might be up against Zero on support, who got subbed in for Team WE, and they looked better. So we're definitely looking at Pallet moving forward for what he can do for this bottom lane on young generation.
I'm honestly just ready for the 2v2s. I'm ready for people to kill each other in that bottom lane. I am so excited to see how this guy stacks up against Zero. But from the first buff till the final Baron, follow the best Thrift in more places than ever. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Now, of course, we are going to get into our first match of the day, Cloud9 versus LYN Gaming. Regardless of today's match, let's take a moment. Let's revel in the fact that a third North American team is getting to groups no matter what happens.
Yeah, it's just kind of sad they didn't have to play against a European and stop them from going.
Yeah, of course. Always want to look forward to that.
Please. But, of course, when we look at these two teams, LYN Gaming came out swinging. They were looking so strong right off the bat, and I feel like a lot of that is due to some of their team history.
Yeah, I think that LYN actually have a lot more history than just the 9 regional titles, right? Back when Challenger was starting, I remember them being on the ranked 5s ladder. They are very familiar with North American teams. They scrimmed a whole bunch of Challenger teams all throughout the years. They've scrimmed NALCS teams, and they've even, back at MSI, scrimmed international teams and had some international performances in wildcard tournaments. So they've always had inspiration or aspirations to be an international power, but this is the chance for them to finally prove that after the 9 regional domestic titles.
And it's been a long road for them, like you said, 9 titles, lots of international competition. It feels like they still haven't quite had that breakout performance where they grab the world's attention and force them to recognize them for how good they are. It's been a good start so far, kind of looking really strong in the play-in stage and being arguably the best, second seed to come out of groups, but they still have a little bit more work to do.
And of course, today, they could